Dang it, we'll do it live. Cannot for the life of me figure out how Facebook it makes the video private, the live stream private, and you can't click on the little thing, the padlock, and there's no options to I mean, I know they've changed their settings recently, but this is absolutely crazy. I mean, you'd think it'd just be either the padlock, you can just click on the padlock and make it public, or there would be a setting in the interface that would allow you to just toggle a setting and it goes public. But this is the problem with streaming to all these different platforms. They all do something different. It just messes things up. Because it all has to be proprietary. I mean, at least Rumble, Twitch, yeah, Twitch is going, but that's showing a different, oh no, that's okay. IMVU, done, and then YubTub, YouTube. I know, Unequal, it's absolutely infuriating. They've changed, I hope the audio's coming through okay, the levels, but they've changed the way that they deal with videos so that any video streams or videos that you upload to Facebook, they're not acting as an archive anymore. So after a certain period of time, they will delete your videos. So they are not YubTub, they're not YouTube. And Twitch does the same thing now. They don't archive. So there's only YouTube and Rumble. But right, anyway, so we'll do it live, as infamously said by you know who. Right, so let's get the. Right, so where is the thing? Where are the things? Oh yes, Maya won't be joining us today. Miss Maya, she had to drop out with a last-minute emergency thingamajig. So unfortunately, it's just me, unless somebody else pops in the server. In the voice channel on the server. Right, so which you're all welcome to do, by the way. Alright, so where's the creator news? There's creator news. So let's create promotions. I'm just going to copy paste the original. No, that's not it. Where is it? They've been doing a huge number of updates. Right, so first things first was the royalty cap, which is what we were talking about before. So copy, paste, blah blah blah. Right, let's just make this bigger. So select all. Right, so the last time we had our stream, we were talking about this change to the royalty payout program, that they were going to be introducing a 20% royalty cap on. So this, I'm still confused about this personally, but this is a 20% royalty cap, so it reduces the amount of, as far as I understand it, it reduces the amount of credits that you can claim royalty payments against. So rather than what you might, if you had, let's say for the sake of argument, 1,000 credits, normally we would have had that 1,000 credits be eligible for royalty payments. With this royalty cap, that's now meant that that 1,000 credits is not 1,000 credits. It's not eligible anymore, not the full amount. It's a percentage, but that percentage varies depending on all sorts of internet math that I still can't wrap my head around. But the upshot is that it would reduce the amount of royalty payout that you would eventually get from your earnings. So basically, for that 1,000 credits, if you were to, let's say for the sake of argument, that earns you $10 in royalty payouts. So with a cap, that's reduced significantly based on the cap. So let's say for the sake of argument it's 20%. So what is that? $2, $5, $2. So the eligibility of that 1,000 credits will now would earn you $2. So in order to earn the $10 that you were previously earning, that would mean you'd have to increase your credit income 5-fold in order to compensate. But that obviously then means that you've now got 5 times the amount of credits floating around your account that you cannot redeem as royalty payments in order to get the original $10. So it's absolutely, it's crazy. It genuinely is crazy from the point of view of just, income outgoings. The royalty cap just makes things complicated, and it just would, we'll get to this in a second, it would absolutely kibosh your income. But, so that's what we were talking about the last stream, all the different ways that this would affect creators' income and what they would have to do in order to compensate for it, and or the weird math hey led 1N3D, I recognize the username, but I can't remember how you're supposed to pronounce that, but so it's 1N3D. So the last stream was us going through all of this and trying to figure out how it would affect our bottom lines. And obviously from the car crash that created in discussion over the week or two, I think it was a couple of weeks, we then got a message from no other than the CEO themselves, copy that, paste. Yes, I got it. That they have, based on the feedback from the community, and it was quite a lot of feedback, they've paused and put this scheme under review. Now, we haven't necessarily heard anything else from this, from the cap element, because there are other things that they've just dropped in our plate, or dropped in our laps, that we are now contending with. Hey Scoop. So we've got other things to contend with. So we don't know what the status of this is, the royalty cap, other than it being paused and under review. But the thing is that the fact that this happened, that the CEO of, well, it's Together Labs, which is IMVU's parent company, the CEO dropped this message, meant, well, that's quite a significant thing to have had happen, because I think we were talking about this in the discussion topic on this. This hasn't I don't think this has happened before. One of the senior bods of IMVU has popped up and said something about something they are thinking of implementing. So this is, I mean, I guess you could say it's a favourable outcome, but it's unprecedented. But we don't know what's happening to this program beyond this message. So as a result, the 20% royalty cap is on hold while we reevaluate solutions guided by creator feedback. No, unequal. I don't remember I mean, some usual sort of staff feedback from, marketing maybe, or the creator advocate of past, but I don't remember the CEO or any of the C-suite peeps saying anything before. So this is new. So this is a good indication, or this is good in the sense that this means that they are taking the community's feedback seriously. So even though it may appear that they are not being as communicable as we would like them to be, that's not silence per se, but that silence doesn't necessarily mean that they are not listening. So although we've only got the CEO to respond to the royalty cap, the fact that they've responded is good, even though the thing that it's like it would be like being noticed that you are in quicksand. Oh, hello, you seem to be in quicksand. I do apologize for you being in there. So royalty cap suspended, which is good. But if you've been following the community, we now have, where is it? Right, so we now have a new thing to think about, which is the creator product promotion feature. So drop that in place. Now this in of itself has been causing a lot of kerfuffle, because this is right now it's being tested. It's being test run on Emerald VIP creators. So if you are, what is that, $30 a month? So if you're paying out $30 a month of Emerald VIP, you gain access to what is this is essentially a beta program, I guess it would be. So they are rolling out the ability for creators to promote their products in the catalog. So that would be classic web, yeah, 30, thanks and equal. So that would be the classic catalog and the catalog as it appears in the desktop client and or the next web browser, next browser based client. So this is, let's see if we have some, can we do some okay, this could get awkward because let me just double check something. Oh yeah, can't use that catalog. Dang it, can't use that one either. Okay, let me see if I can pull up an image from the I hope browser. Hope Shop Tina doesn't mind doing this. Right, so let's yoink that over here. Zoom in. So basically what this is going to allow creators to do, full screen, is selectively promote products in the catalog. Yeah, so yeah, that's what these creator coins are for. So basically what we're doing is what IMVU is implementing is a system of being able to selectively promote certain products. Why isn't that working? Dang it. Can't do my markdown. Where's the thing gone? Oh, Windows 11, I tell you. A lot of the little programs that work well with Windows 10 don't seem to work too well with Windows 11. So we get these little tags on certain products that are being promoted, and these will appear at the top, the very top of the catalog, depending on the category that's being searched, and there probably are other criteria as well. But from the input and the research that people have been doing, they've been testing this. It doesn't seem to be that it's filtered in the sense that it doesn't look like you can selectively place where your products appear because of the way that people search for things. So how it actually works is I'm not sure about, but the upshot is that we are now able to promote our products. But in order to do that, they have to be paid for using, let's shove that over there. Did they mention it? Yeah, so in order to pay for it, we have to use these things called creator coins, and these are specific to this, well, right now they're specific to this feature, and these have to be purchased independently of, so let's just highlight that, Emerald Creators. These are purchased independent from your normal income. So if you're already paying for your VIP, well, right now, if you're because it's in beta, if you want to advertise your products, you have to purchase with real money, dollars, creator coins that will then give you a certain amount of time. Where is that image? Let me see if I can find it. Right, so open that. So this is all going to be a little blurry because copy. Uh-oh, too many browser windows open. Right, so that's what your creator coins purchase. I think there's a price somewhere. I think the low end is $4.99 for 500 credits, and then it goes up to something like $30. So you buy 500 credits for $4.99. Let's say for the sake of argument it's $5. So $5 are getting you 500 credits or coins that will get you 1 day, 5 hours promotional placement. So your adverts will appear in the catalog in the promoted position for 1 day, 5 hours. But you're not going to be the only one whose products are potentially being promoted. So your 500 creator coins aren't necessarily going to mean, I mean, this might be obvious because it's an advert basically. It's going to mean that your promoted products is going to be rotated depending on how many other creators are promoting their product in the same category. So let's say in pets you have your tigers. Thanks Tina, by the way, again. So you have your tigers. If somebody else was advertising their pets, your eyeballs, the view page views or the view count is going to be halved because there's 2 of you. If there's 4 of you, it's going to be quartered. If there's 8 of you, it's going to be... So the more people there are advertising, the fewer and fewer eyeballs are going to see your product. So we then get into the realms of... So this is... So for 500, let's say it's $5. That will get you 1 day. But that 1 day may translate into, let's say for the sake of argument, 5,000 views. Of that 5,000 views of your promoted product, the normal return is about 1% on any advertising. So 1% of 5,000 is going to be what, 50? If that. So you're lucky if you get 50 sales for your 1 day, 5 hours. But, and this is where it starts to get... So the big question is whether it's worth it. And this is where it gets complicated for creators, because especially if they implement the 20% cap or a cap of some description, because you're paying your $30 for your VIP subscription, you're then paying for the advertising. Without that, with the subscription, you're already on the hook to earn back enough credits or have enough sales to be able to earn back that $30 for Emerald VIP. I mean, obviously it's going to differ the lower down, so there's, what is it, platinum, what is it, bronze, platinum, emerald. Are those the VIP levels? Let me just check. Where is... Oh, they've even got a create a coin icon on the homepage. Right, so there's gold VIP view plans. Right, so the lowest is gold VIP, platinum VIP, diamond VIP, and then emerald VIP. Emerald is $30. Gold is $5. So as a creator, if you're doing the whole credit thing for the sake of earning an income, you already need to have a certain number of sales in order to get that $5 back. If it's $30, you already have to earn, gosh, I don't know how much that would be. Yeah, I don't know how much that would be. So you have to have, let's say for the sake of argument, it's 1,000 product sales to earn enough from the royalty program to be able to pay your subscription. So earning via IMVU pays for itself. Let's say it's 1,000 products for the sake of argument. So you have to have 1,000 sales a month. If you then do advertising, so if you do promotions, that's another however much you are spending on this. So if, let's say for the sake of argument, make this argument easier, you do emerald at $30 and you do the top tier promotional service, which is $30. So that's $60. So if you're having to earn, well, if you're having to sell 1,000 products to gain back your subscription, you're going to have to earn another 1,000, sell another 1,000 products in order to earn enough to cover the cost of the promotions. So that's $60 or 2,000 products in a month. In some senses that's not necessarily a lot, but for lower tier creators, lower tier, I mean, what did we worked out that when we did the survey, we worked out that the average creator's income was less than $500 a year, I think. I think that's right. So the average earnings is going to be less than $50 a month for the average creator, which is, you know, in terms of, and this is one of the things that the community is picking up on, is the fact that you know, from a earnings perspective and from a exposure and promotional point of view, what this looks to be doing is not disabling, that's the wrong word, disincentivizing or preventing creators from managing and marketing using their own tools, and instead forcing creators to market using whatever tools IMVU presents to them. So a more effective, so the upshot of this is basically what IMVU is doing is shoveling systems out into the community that the community has to use in order to promote itself, rather than giving creators the tools that they actually need, which is customer management what is it, CRM, customer retail management system. That's what creators actually need, is a CRM. Creators need to be able to track and trace their customers, ask their customers if they want direct emails rather than through DMs, because a lot of people have their DMs disabled by default, which means that as a creator you can't contact them when you have new products. They don't get messaged. They don't receive any message or notifications from creators. So there's no way for creators to manually manage their marketing themselves. And that's what's really needed. This system, this new system with the creator coins, seems like a way for IMVU to implement a system that takes marketing out of creators' hands per se and puts it into the hands of IMVU. So in other words, IMVU is basically saying, yeah, you can market, but just only the ways that we provide you. And that's what this seems to be. And this is not provided as part of your subscription. So if you're paying $30 a month, one would expect that, let's say for the sake of argument, if you buy, so Emerald is the top tier. So we've got Gold, Platinum, Diamond and Emerald. So let's say for the sake of argument, Emerald gets 1,000 creator coins as part of their stipend for their subscription, which means that they can use those creator coins however they see fit. So they could spend, you know, what is that, 2 lots of 500 for 2 days in 2 weeks, 2 weeks apart, or they spend it all in one shot. So Emerald gets 1,000, Diamond gets 800, and Platinum gets 500 as a stipend, along with the credit stipend. Yeah, so unequal. That's honestly my problem with all these things happening. There seems to be no incentive towards implementing systems that are beneficial to all creators, even just very simple regular QOL updates. That's quality of life updates. So yeah, that would make more sense in terms of because then what's the point of using the system as it's been presented to us? So if we look at it at face value, based on the feedback that some of the creators have been giving or providing with their tests, this, granted it's in beta and early days, etc., but they are providing feedback of their experiments. So Shop Tina did some, quite a few others as well, and even now, even with a relative few number of participants, so you know, Shop Tina might have been the only person promoting in pets, so she might have been getting a disproportionate response back in the data that she got because she was the only one advertising her pets. But if there are dozens and dozens and dozens of people advertising in pets, the data that we're discovering now in these early days is not going to be correct at all relative to how this is rolled out, because there are going to be more and more people participating in the promotional system. So the value that's ascribed to this just at face value raw numbers isn't going to be anywhere near the same. So even though this may appear fair in the sense of it's allowing anyone to purchase promotional space, so you know, a gold They're not part of the royalty program though, I don't think, gold. So it'd be platinum, I think, is the lowest for royalty payout. So platinum is $10 a month. So if you have hundreds of creators advertising and promoting just with the 500 creator coins, the number of sales that are going to occur potentially is, you know, relative to the system, it's going to be consistent to the system, but relative to the individual creator, it's going to be minimal. So the data that's coming back now is creators are basically only breaking even. That's the impression that I get anyway, that creators are essentially just breaking even right now when there are few creators actually promoting products, and they are only just breaking even. So what happens when this goes fully public and there are dozens, hundreds of creators? I mean, let's say, for example, what's the hottest category? Hair. That will be absolutely swamped with creators advertising hair. You know, there could be several hundred creators promoting their hair products being rotated out. I can't test it in old because I'm logged into an account that I can't show on screen. It's for the AP Plus stuff, and I can't show that on screen at all. I'm not getting my accounts banned. So, but if somebody wants to look at the, I mean, you can test it. You can just go into the catalog now because I think it's live now. Yeah, so Unequal. Yes, so Unequal tested this. So in my case, I had about 500 sales over 2 days of promotion on a dress. I received 20% real credits. So, you know, over 2 days. So what is that? 800 creator coins. So how much was that to purchase? $10? So 500, you know, and that's the problem with it. Well, it's not a problem. It's a problem for the individual creator. For IMVU, it's not a problem at all because all income is income. But for the creator, the more people there are advertising their products, the lesser their sales and income because the competition is still there. This doesn't necessarily advantage. I mean, this was the criticism in the discussion, was that this benefits top tier creators because they're able to pay 8,000, well, they're able to buy 8,700 promotional coins for 36 days. But what they're missing is that 36 days doesn't provide preferential treatment or preferential placement to that particular creator. That creator is competing with everybody else in terms of the rotation. Because if we think of these as just adverts, these are adverts. So they don't stay put. They're rotated through all the different creators that might be advertising or promoting their products in the same catalog. Not catalog, same category. Right, 1,000 coins. So how much is 1,000 coins? Is that $10? I think that's $10. But this is the thing that a lot of the criticisms were missing, is that, you know, because top tier creators are able to, I mean, prospectively speaking, from a different perspective, they're able to afford, air quotes, the 8,700 coins to promote over 36 days, but that misses the fact that these aren't fixed placements. These are rotated adverts. So each of these adverts will be, or these promoted slots will be rotated every time the page is reviewed or refreshed or loaded. So a new creator and their promoted products will appear. Yeah, so $10 for the 1,000 coins. So that's blah blah. Yeah, 2 days. Yeah, so there's no is there a, so if you bought 7,000, if you bought 8,700 coins, do you have to spend them all in one go, or can you essentially bank up 8,700 coins and then just spend them in 500 coin slots for one day, so that you do more specific targeted promotions? I mean, is that something that you can do? They haven't been very clear on that, but purchasing a lot of coins only benefits the amount of time that the promoted advert is rotated in the catalogue. It doesn't provide a fixed placement. So there's no bias or preferential treatment or anything like that. Hey, Chell. Yeah, so Chell is saying this is looking more like Etsy's advertising scheme. I'm not familiar with Etsy, so I don't know. Unequal, I bought 2,400 plus 500, and I've used 500 for a day, then 500 for the next day, and then use 500 for a different product. So yeah, hit waves in Chell. So there does seem to be some flexibility in terms of how you can use the coins, but again, back to this point about having loads of coins, or the so-called big creators being able to afford, air quotes, higher amounts of creator coins, doesn't ascribe preferential treatment to them. It just means that they can promote their products for a longer period. Try saying that quickly. Promote their products in a longer period. Promote their products in a prolonged period. There you go, tongue twister. So these are all rotated like ordinary adverts. So again, there's no preferential treatment. Nobody's getting any, extras just for being in the Emerald program. But I think the key thing here is that if IMVU are going to implement this, then why not provide some creator coins as a stipend to whatever VIP level you have? So again, Emerald has 1,000. I have to keep looking at the VIP store. Diamond gets 800 and Platinum gets 500. And then creators can use those however they want. And if they want to purchase extras, they can. Which means that there's a bit more flexibility to it. But as we've been saying, this is, what's that phrase? A solution in need of a problem. Because again, this doesn't necessarily help creators speak directly to their customers. Well, Inold, the fixed placement still remains by the methods, which are, well, using bots that force purchase of an item over 30 times, therefore putting it in the front. Yeah. That's not been addressed or mentioned, how this would theoretically prevent catalog gaming, because this, from what I understand, the promoted section in the catalog Well, yeah, that's the point. I'm not condoning this, but I guess if everyone gets to be special, meaning first place, no one is special if the product's rotating location. That's exactly it. That's what's missing from this conversation. People are focusing too much on the amount of money that might be needed to purchase the coins, thinking that that gets some preferential treatment. It doesn't, based on the way that this has been described and what creators are finding out. This doesn't afford preferential placement or treatment. It just means that you can extend the amount of time that your promoted products are displayed or rotated through, because each of these just rotates to a new product promotion depending on the page being refreshed. So it just means that, you know, at 8,700 coins, you're going to have 36 days over which your products are being rotated. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything else. But yeah, there's no indication as to how this. Well, I mean, would you? I can't think of how this would be gamed, but you know, I mean, we know some of the bad elements of the community, that they'll find ways to game this. But hopefully, if what we think is correct in terms of how this is going to be implemented, then that should be, or shouldn't be, an issue, because the items are just going to be auto-rotated. Right, so Unequal is saying, but that's not true. Refresh your IMVU next shop 3 or 4 times to see how many promoted products are still in place. Yes, so that's right now. So if we imagine that, you know, let's say for the sake of argument, IMVU go with this, and they go with how this is presented to us right now. And it's available to all the main tiers, so that's Platinum, Diamond and Emerald. Those are the creator tiers. And how many creators would be using this system? One would hope that if they've got the mechanics of the system sorted out correctly, that every time the page is refreshed, because there are so many creators in the pool that are promoting their products, there's another tongue twister, that it should present a new creator's promoted product. I mean, if it doesn't, then that has to be addressed. That's a bug or a problem that potentially could be gamed, because you could make the argument that in order to get better placement or more frequent placement, you have to do it over a prolonged period. There's too many P's in these sentences. You have to promote over a prolonged period in order for your products to be promoted in the catalogue. Well, I mean, you know, it's, as is always the way, they've given us the basics of how, it's not how the system works, it's how you can buy into the system. The information pertains to how you buy into it, not how it works. And as we're finding with the experiments that creators have been testing out, even right now, as we were saying earlier, with the few numbers of creators that are testing this, the returns are, well, I mean, they're lucky if they break even, basically. I mean, that's the hard truth. You know, from the perspective of the creator, it's, I mean, it's going to be like going to be marketing rather than sales. So if creators use this more from a marketing perspective in terms of getting their name and their products and their presence out there versus expecting sales, and as with anything with marketing tends to work in the long term rather than in the short term, but you could use, you know, the 500 credits for a one-day promo for some special offers or special products or product launches that you've done, whereas your 8700 coins, that would be for, let's say for the sake of argument, establishing long-term sales of a product that may not be doing too well ordinarily. But the information on this is a bit thin on the ground in terms of how it actually works. But what else was there? I mean, the upshot of all of this is, you know, what's the break-even point for creators? At what point are, you know, and if where's the scrolly, you know, although the royalty cap is suspended for now, what's the break-even point of, if you're working with IMVU from the point of view of it being a source of income? So you're paying your subscription, which is $10 minimum. So let's say, for the sake of argument, for the $10 you have to have 100 sales in a month, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for a lot of smaller creators, that's pretty much the average amount of sales. So what's the break-even point if they implement something like royalty caps? So you've got your subscriptions, you've got your advertising, you've got your the normal adverts which use your DTs, your dev tokens, that some creators have millions of. You know, people don't seem to be having too much success necessarily from a sales perspective with those types of adverts, but it's all the idea of branding and marketing, brand awareness, name awareness. So is that what this really is? Or is that what this will really mean in a tangible sense? So is the community looking at this from the wrong perspective? Wrong air quotes, in terms of looking at it from the point of sales versus marketing, brand awareness, because you don't necessarily get sales from marketing, but you do get brand awareness. So even from that perspective, is it worth it? How do you translate brand awareness and exposure into sales? So it's, I don't know. I don't know myself. It's there's not enough information provided in terms of how it mechanically works. And then we've just had, if we add to that, we've just had the thing about gifting products. Where is the news on that? That's IMVU operator news. Where right, gifting your own products. Copy, paste. Right, so from now on, you won't be earning anything, or products that are gifted won't be eligible for royalty payouts. Now, you know, this is going to cause a lot of controversy as well, so yeah, so Unequal's just saying that, yeah, I don't think it's good for sales at all, but I do agree it might be worth it for awareness. However, I still see only those purchasing a long promotion will benefit from the system. I'm just really unsure who the target audience is, to be completely honest. Yeah, exactly. Who? I mean, aside from what we were saying earlier, where this is essentially a means for IMVU to generate income for IMVU versus it being a system that generates income for creators, which obviously then has a knock-on effect of creating income or generating income for IMVU. But it's yeah, I mean, this is just a system. It's basically another service that you have to subscribe to that generates income for IMVU, and not necessarily a system that will make or facilitate the earning of income for creators. So yeah, but if we add all of this up in terms of what creators are going to be expecting, is the wrong word, the upshot of how this is going to affect your royalty payouts. See, the thing is, the thing that's so the purpose of all these changes, we've been told in the messages that IMVU have relayed, is that they're trying to address certain problems within the system whereby bad faith actors game the system in order to benefit from it. So zero change derivables was one of the topics that came up, that on their own there may very well be legitimate reasons for having zero change derivables, but overall, from a systemic perspective, their presence potentially causes problems because of their effect on the economy in terms of what people do with the pricing structures of product chains that include zero change derivables. Now, the 20% royalty thing was supposed to be, I have no idea quite how this would be, but it's supposed to be a proposal to potentially solve that problem. No idea how, but that was the argument that was being put forward. So how would that address that problem? And wouldn't it be better to, particularly in order to get into the royalty program, you have to be vetted. We all know that. You have to be vetted, you have to prove your identity. There are all sorts of things that are in place that mean that you are a good faith actor from IMVU's perspective for them to think that you are good faith enough to them for them to be paying royalties too. That means that there is a manual review process of the catalogue, and anyone that's been in the royalty program for any length of time will know that they do that on a random basis whenever you make a payout request. So you could have several requests in a row where you haven't been reviewed, and the next request you make, they will review your catalogue. So why aren't zero change derivables or bad faith actors that publish bad faith products in whatever form that is, why are they not being picked out or picked up from that review process? That's where that should happen. If someone's catalogue that's in the royalty program has, let's say they have 1,000 products and they have 100 zero change derivables in their catalogue, would it be reasonable to expect IMVU to flag that individual and basically say to them, right, well, you are part of the royalty program and we are more than happy to pay out your royalties, but can you explain to us why you have so many zero change derivables in your catalogue and why they are set up in a particular way that seems to be affecting your catalogue in terms of its pricing? The creator then has to justify the presence of those zero change derivables in the catalogue. Now, this isn't apportioning blame or denigrating or any other negative sense of that process. This is looking at it specifically from IMVU's perspective in terms of how they are trying to solve the problem. The problem should be being solved by IMVU because they are the ones that set the criteria for what is a good or bad product. Now, for a majority of creators that aren't in the royalty program, this is completely immaterial. It doesn't make any difference what their products are, what the zero change, how many of those they have in their catalogue, how many dodgy products, and I'm not talking UFI, but dodgy as in just spammed into the catalogue. It doesn't matter because they're not part of the royalty program. It's only when you're part of the royalty program that IMVU should be taking the initiative and saying, why are these here? We're more than happy to pay you your royalties, but your catalogue, the way that you've got this set up, looks kind of dodgy. It's simple because people don't want to wait 1 week for peer review. So people make blanks and empty products. Well, yeah, that's taken at face value. Yeah, that's what people do. But from the perspective of the royalty program and IMVU trying to solve a problem that they claim is a problem, and that is people gaming the royalty program, that's what they're trying to solve. They're trying to solve that problem. Yeah, or they could limit unequal, saying, or they could limit derivation chairs. Yeah, so this is where it gets into tricky waters, because you then get the flip side of that argument where people argue that, well, if you don't want your products to be derived from, or you don't want ZCDs on your product chain, don't make your products derivable, which completely misses the point. The point is, IMVU is implementing all of these features and systems to try and prevent catalog gaming, particularly for creators that are part of the royalty program. Now, the problem we've got is that we don't know the criteria necessarily that IMVU are using to determine whether somebody does get royalty payouts or not. And because you have to be vetted as part of the royalty program criteria, then why aren't these bad products, bad faith creators, why are they not being caught out by the review process? That's the question. Because creators are essentially powerless from the point of view of the validity of their products relative to IMVU's expectations within the royalty program. I mean, in order to get into the royalty program, as we've said before, you have to be vetted. So what's gone wrong, air quotes, what's gone wrong with the vetting process or the random checks of royalty participants that, air quotes, bad faith actors are getting through and are able to game the catalogue? There's a big portion of the story missing here. Bad faith actors can't game the catalogue just by being bad faith. So spamming their catalogues, dodgy products, whatever it is that they do as part of their remit as being creators, all of that is completely immaterial to the fact that IMVU, as part of the royalty program, should be vetting creators and should be able to pick up on these bad actors, which would then mean they wouldn't be paying out to bad actors, because those bad actors would have been caught by whatever system they have in place to review products and review catalogues as part of that royalty program. This is getting a bit repetitive and a bit redundant in its repetitiveness, but this point has to be drilled home, that gaming the royalty program isn't necessarily a creator problem, it's an IMVU problem. IMVU should be picking up on the bad actors. Why not? Why aren't they picking up on the bad actors? What's going on that they can't pick up on people, whatever criteria IMVU has for what they would consider a legit creator to be part of the royalty program? Presumably they have internal criteria that all the royalty team adhere to, so that they know what's going on. Yeah, so unequal. Yeah, it feels like we're all being punished for whatever is going on. Yeah, that's the sense that, so all of these changes are penalizing the community for things that the community, in terms of gaming the royalty program, it's completely immaterial, because IMVU have the last say. IMVU are the ones that say, well, no, we're not going to pay you out because your catalogue is full of X, Y, and Z, or your catalogue is ABC, and this is not the kind of stuff that we want to promote. This is not the kind of stuff that we want to encourage being monetized. But yeah, Unequal saying, but we don't even know what's going on. No, we don't. So all of these things are being brought into play without any sort of deeper context. Chell, no. Chell is asking, do we know the criteria IMVU uses for the random routine vetting during payout requests? Is it just an algorithmic review of product or creator's history? It's supposed to be, from what I understand, it's supposed to be a manual review. So somebody actually has to physically look through the individual's catalogue. That's what I understand. But which feeds back into the question that we've been posing, is if these are essentially spot checks why aren't the spot checkers picking up on the bad actors that they want to remove from the royalty program? There's a big chunk of this story missing. And we're none the wiser for it. We have absolutely no idea. I mean, I know that when you originally sign up to the royalty program, they run the standard virtual goods policy. They run that past your catalogue essentially. So they look at your catalogue with that in mind. So they're looking at whether your GA products are actually truly GA and not, you know, mushed up boobs and bums, so that you're squishing the red to trick the peer reviewers into thinking that your product, your what is then an AP product, is actually GA when it should be rated as AP. You know, they should be picking up on things like that. But that's, you know, within a catalogue of 1,000 products, how long does that take? 2,000 products, how long does that take? 5,000 products, 10,000 products, how long does that take? You know, but from IMVU's perspective, it should take as long as it takes, because IMVU is then obligated, essentially, I mean, trying to avoid the legalese discussion here about royalties versus income and payout. Because IMVU is having to pay out, they're obligated to pay out to the royalty program, it's incumbent on them to make sure that what they're paying out against is valid, entitled to that payout. So they're the ones, again, that the buck stops with. So what's going on there? I mean, how do, aside from obviously making sure that your products are virtual goods policy compliant and you are not doing dodgy things, you know, UFI, zero change derivables, or you're fudging your meshes, or you're fudging your textures, or doing whatever it is, assuming that you're not doing that, those things should be picked up by the review process. And if they are, which often happens, you will get rejected from the royalty program. So, you know, all of these changes are, they're not incidental, they're not immaterial. They don't mean anything so long as the royalty program itself doesn't have any stopgaps. It doesn't have the ability to because then the question is, well, if they do have these random spot checks, what are they randomly spot checking for? Just standard UFI stuff? Standard virtual goods policy stuff? Well, that isn't what's causing the problems they claim these things to be solving. All these changes are supposed to be solving gaming of the royalty program. You don't game the royalty program by making sure that your products are virtual goods policy compliant. So that means that they're not looking at people's catalogues with an eye to the way that creators might game, air quotes, that system. So they can keep bringing in all of these changes that potentially, well, they can keep bringing in all these changes that they argue are supposed to help them address the gaming of the royalty program, but they're immaterial to the fact that if IMVU themselves don't properly vet creators that they are paying out to, then all of these changes are completely immaterial because they do not solve the problem. The problem has to be solved by IMVU at IMVU's hands in IMVU's whatever whatever system they use. I mean, even if they have, I don't know how you would do this with AI, because that would be really complicated actually, because you have different body shapes. You couldn't necessarily train the AI on the standard body shape, because every time it sees a custom body shape, is it going to then think that that's not correctly set up for whatever category? So a GA, let's say a pair of GA pants that cover red for the standard default avatar, does the body shape affect how the AI then sees whether that red is appropriate for the different body shape? And how long would it take to train an AI to do that? I mean, will the AI just get fed up and do what people do now with peer review and just pass things anyway, just because? Because that's what peer review is right now. So yeah, these changes just I don't think they will solve the problem they're supposed to be addressing, which is the royalty program being gamed, because these happen, well, noticing the gaming can only be done by IMVU, because otherwise it means that their royalty program is essentially, the checks and balances for that are not necessarily automated. They are what's the phrase? Lip service. The lip service. You know, it's just a sort of, they have an internal policy that says, well, let's just randomly check X number of creators that make submissions for royalty payments. Let's just randomly check 20% of those. And just, I mean, it's not even a check, it's just to make sure. Whoops, hang on, is the stream gone? No, it hasn't, it's still going. Just getting a message there from what's hang on. To activate chat. What? No, it's still active. Let me just double check. So yeah, all of these changes are completely immaterial to solving the problem of the royalty program being gamed. That has to be done by IMVU. Random spot checks, if it's just for the, okay, thanks, unequal. I just got a message popping up in the streaming software that said there was an issue. You know, it's like just having that policy, 20%, yeah, just make sure that there's 20%, just do a quick spot check. You know, make sure they're compliant with VGP, which is, yeah, okay, most of them are compliant with VGP. We maybe catch 1% of them that are doing dodgy stuff, so just get rid of them. But that doesn't solve their problem. They need to be properly looking through people's catalogues. If they are wanting to address problems with the royalty program, they have to address those problems at their end, because they're the ones that are essentially responsible for IMVU paying out. So who are the people that are doing the spot checks, and or who are the people that are vetting creators to be part of the royalty program? Who are they? And what are they doing? Because this should be fixed by them. So all of this, all of these things don't address that fundamental problem. So the creator coins, as many people have commented in the discussion, these just seem to be a way for IMVU to monetize the promotion aspect, and we can't use credits, we can't use DTs, we can't use any other things with this. We have to use actual cash USDs to purchase promoted. But it does appear that the standard adverts are still going to be used in the feed, so those are still an option, those are still available. But this seems to be more a way of unless of course, you know, these are creator coins, and the way that these are being sold, they come across as being where did it say it? There was something in, yeah, so blah blah blah. To support this feature, we've introduced creator coins, a dedicated in-platform currency used exclusively for creator product promotions. Creating a separate currency allows promotions to be managed and optimized independently of credits and developer tokens, making the system fair for all creators and more stable for the catalog economy. So that sounds like this is potentially being set up, put in place as a creator specific digital currency like Vcoin. That's what this seems to be. So what they're basically potentially setting up is a monetization platform specifically targeted at creators, because I don't know if anybody got into the Vcoin stuff, but I would imagine that that didn't go as successfully as they were expecting it to. So this is potentially another system that may be more readily monetizable, because creators tend to be more dedicated to their, yeah, I never tried the Vcoin thing either, and equal. So the creator coins could be a specific currency for creators that will be the oil for whatever schemes IMVU comes up with that are specific to creators, because creators are more dedicated and more what's the word? Enthusiastic isn't the word I'm looking for, but more enthusiastic towards paying for things in order to earn themselves income. Is it whales and cows? Software developers, game developers want whales and cows because they can be monetized more readily than normal users. Normal users don't pay for things, but whales and cows do. They're the ones that basically monetize the platforms. So maybe the creator coins are a way to monetize creators' evangelism, for want of a better word. evangelism of the platform and their ability to create and monetize from it. So that's what this seems like. It's going to be a separate currency that they can monetize with schemes like this. But as we said earlier, there should be a stipend. There should be a basic amount as a stipend for your creator VIP, especially if you are in the royalty program. I mean, maybe that's a criteria that they use, that if you are in the royalty program, you have a, depending on your tier, you have a 500, 800 or 1,000 coin stipend to spend on your promotions. And if you're not in the creator program, if you're not in the royalty program, you have, I don't know, 800, 500 and 250. But then you get into arguments of favoritism and bias and all sorts of things, because people would argue that people in the royalty program are getting preferential treatment because they're in the royalty program. So you can't win for losing. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got on this. And as I mentioned, unfortunately, Miss Maya had to miss this one for an emergency. So I don't know. I mean, if anybody's got any questions or comments, just drop them in the chat, or because yeah, I've just whoops, get rid of that message. Yoink. Cheerio. I mean, I can't think of anything else that... I mean, the community is basically reeling from the fact that A, there was the 20% cap, which is now suspended. Then there's this promotional thing with the credits, the coins. What was the other thing? There was something else. Did we cover that? The royalty cap is paused. There's that. What else was there? Coins. No. Yeah, so that's basically the two big ones. And the upshot is, I mean, particularly with the creator coins and the promotions, or the promoting, that it doesn't seem to be... Oh, the gifting thing. Yeah, thanks for reminding me, Unequal. Yeah, so, where is it? Did we pop that in here? Yeah, the gifting thing. You can't now monetize gifts. Where's the news for that? Did they post the news? Oh yeah, that's what I was going to put in there, right? So 50, paused, commercial feature. Oh yeah, there we go. Gifting your product. Now I never really did this. I mean, this is one way that you can gain your income by gifting. That's what people would do, but apparently this now means that you cannot, if you're part of the royalty program, if you gift items, you cannot earn royalty payouts from the credit income that generated via gifting. So I guess what people would do is they would have an account that is part of the royalty program, have other accounts that they own, gift. Now, how would it work? I don't know how. I mean, this is how. Yeah, how does that work? But they would use gifting as a way of gaming the catalogue and gaming their income. Don't ask how. I've absolutely no idea. But this change now means that you cannot monetize from gifting. Right, so until recently it was technically possible for creators to earn cash from gifting their own products, even though this has never been allowed under the Earn Money program or terms of service. This update serves two key purposes. It protects honest creators, ensuring they can gift their products freely without the risk of this activity being mistaken for credit manipulation. It helps reduce credit laundering schemes, making them harder to carry out and easier to detect. So that would be one thing. Why isn't that being picked up in these spot checks? Because surely IMVU has access to sales data. So are they looking through creators' catalogues and only looking to see whether their products are virtual goods policy compliant, or are they doing deeper dives, particularly into bigger catalogues or bigger earners? Are they doing deeper dives to check sales data, to check how products are being sold, what's happening to products? Because presumably it would be incumbent on them to check that data to make sure that they're not paying out bad actors. But again, we're back to the same question of, well, why is that not happening? What's going on from IMVU's perspective that they're not doing those checks? So there's a big chunk of the story missing from here. But yes, so gifting your own products, you can still gift them, but they will only be credit. Additionally, based on recent creator feedback, we've implemented a slight improvement. When a creator gifts their own products, their profit is now excluded from the product price. They are only charged for the remaining balance, which includes platform fees and other costs. So, I mean, basically what that's doing is nullifying the effect of buying your own products through gifting, essentially. Because I guess that's what they're saying, is that you could essentially buy your own products and those sales would count towards your potential royalty payouts, which is a bit weird because, I mean, yeah, so if you were buying products with your credits, so you had 1 million credits, you could essentially launder those credits by gifting your product out, and those product giftings would count as sales. Seems like a bit of a weird feedback loop, and those sales would then count towards your potential royalty income. Is that how it works? I guess that's how it works. Never done it, but you know. It's all just very weird that all of these changes have come into place, within the last month? So that's third quarter, so we're going into the fourth quarter now, aren't we? November, December, September, October, November, December. So we're in the fourth quarter. So yeah, that's those are the changes. Those are the big changes. So the royalty cap is suspended. We've now got the creator coins and potential promotional feature, and you can't earn your gifted products are ineligible for royalty payouts. So essentially you would be laundering your credits through gifting your products. I guess that's how it works. I mean, let's be blunt. All the conversation in the official Discord server, the creator product promotion feature, and the royalty change discussions, all of them, if we are assuming, or let's take it at face value, if we take at face value the argument that IMVU is proposing with these changes is that it's supposed to address issues with the royalty program being gamed. This gifting one might be an exception here, because this is to some degree within the realms of creators to control. They shouldn't be gifting their products and or using that as a means to game the royalty program. But we're back to the same problem again, or the same fundamental issue is why isn't that kind of activity being picked up by the spot checks that IMVU does for participants, creators that are part of the royalty program? There's a failure there, and that failure isn't being addressed by all these changes. Essentially what it's doing is pushing the responsibility for compliance onto the community, the creator community, but the creator community has no control over IMVU, whether it feels obligated to pay creators or not. That's up to IMVU, not the creator. The creator can make a submission. Well, Unequal's just said, had no idea you earned money from gifting, to be completely honest. No, I can't think of any particular way how you would game the catalogue. Or, it's not game the catalogue, game your income to game the royalty program. But I guess that's how it's done. Not being a dishonest actor, not being a bad faith actor, one wouldn't know about that kind of thing. But it's all moot and immaterial to the fact that IMVU are the ones who have the last say as to whether somebody gets their royalty payouts or not. That's where the buck stops. So what's going on? Why aren't they picking up on that stuff? Why aren't they reviewing people's catalogues more closely, and or not just their catalogues, but their the long tail data associated with their product sales? Because presumably IMVU has access to all that kind of information. It should be relatively straightforward to just look at products versus the number of sales that they've had versus the number of because again, I suppose it depends whether gifting counts as a sale. Yeah, Unequal. Yeah, maybe they just didn't and are catching up now. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it is. It's just a question of it was working. What is it? Yeah, completely agree. There's lots to speculate on everywhere at the moment. Reality is we don't know, and we probably won't see, as IMVU doesn't like to be transparent with us. Yeah, I mean, they're transparent to a degree, but yes. I mean, obviously they can't be fully transparent, because then that exposes them from a business perspective, competitors and all that sort of stuff. But these changes, as we're discussing, don't really address the fundamental problem, which we keep coming back to, which is IMVU are the ones that are responsible for whether or not they pay somebody from within the royalty program. So it's incumbent on IMVU to make sure that the people that they are paying out to are properly, fully entitled, for want of a better word, to receiving those royalty payouts. So I don't know. I don't know. Well, we've been going for nearly 2 hours. I think we'll call it quits here, because we're kind of going round in circles and basically coming back to the same points over and over again, which are important, but there's only so many times that we can repeat the same thing. And basically our as a community, our hands are kind of tied in terms of, I mean, bad faith actors are going to bad faith. That's what bad faith actors are. So we don't have a way of dealing with bad faith actors as a community. Only IMVU does. So only IMVU can fix this problem, and it doesn't seem to be fixed necessarily with the things that they are implementing right now. I mean, one of the things that they are doing obviously is the catalogue cleanup, where they're changing the categories. That might help. No idea if it will or not, but that's something that IMVU can do. But with the royalty program, it has to be on them, because they are the only ones that can qualify whether somebody is, again, entitled to being paid out to. So I think we'll leave it with Unequal's comment that there's a lot to speculate on everywhere at the moment. Reality is we don't know, and probably won't be seeing any, as IMVU isn't or doesn't like being transparent with us, which is, relatively speaking, true. We only get the information that, well, what is it, a limited hangout? We only get the information that we need to know. So yeah, alright, we'll call it quits there, because we've been going nearly 2 hours. If you haven't joined the official Discord server, I think it's what's the address? discord.com/IMVU official, I think. There is a chat somewhere. Or a link. I'll drop it in the video description when these are archived. But yeah, so I guess it's watch this space. We might have another stream if there are any other updates, and hopefully Miss Maya will be able to join us. Again, she had to miss this one, drop out at the last minute for some emergency stuff. She's fine, just urgent stuff that had to be sorted out. So thanks, Unequal, for your comments and questions and feedback. Thanks, Chell. Thanks, Inold. And yeah, Acadians and Zinsight right at the very beginning. Yeah, so there we have it. That's the now what news for this week or month. So expect some more now what in the coming months when IMVU issues more now what have they done for us to, I was just about to say complain about, but it's not complain, criticize, comment on, whatever, as a community. Anywho, right, thanks for lurking, lurkers, thanks for the comments, everybody that commented in the chat, and we shall see you on the next stream. And again, hopefully Miss Maya will join us when we do that, or anybody